The cold path, walking alone without losing yourself. A limitless mindset, original, calm and reflective tone. There comes a time in every person's life when the noise fades. The people you leaned on drift away. The warmth that once surrounded you grows cold. And you find yourself walking alone. Not because the world has turned against you, but because you've reached a part of the path that only one set of footprints can cross. That is the cold path. The path where solitude doesn't just test you, it shapes you. You see, solitude is not the absence of people. It is the presence of yourself. And the truth is, most people have never truly met themselves. They live surrounded by noise, by opinions, by comparisons, by endless distractions, all carefully designed to keep them from looking inward. But the cold path strips that away. It's quiet here, uncomfortably quiet, and in that silence, the echoes of your thoughts grow loud. Louder than you expect, louder than you want. At first, you'll resist it. You'll reach for your phone, your habits, your friends, anything to fill the emptiness. But the silence will wait, patiently, until you return. Because this is not punishment. It's purification. Walking alone doesn't mean you've lost everything. It means you're being given the chance to see what truly remains when everything else is gone. There's a saying by Marcus Aurelius: "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions, than your own soul." And he was right. But peace within doesn't appear instantly. It is earned through discomfort, through endurance, through the courage to stand still when everything in you wants to run. On the cold path, you begin to notice the small things. The sound of your breath, the rhythm of your steps, the weight of your thoughts pressing gently against your chest. You begin to understand that solitude isn't loneliness, it's the art of standing on your own without collapsing inward. Loneliness says, "No one is here for me." Solitude says, "I am enough for myself." And that difference, that tiny shift in meaning, is the foundation of emotional strength. It's the realization that your worth doesn't depend on who validates you, or who sees you, or who walks beside you. Your worth is intrinsic. It's built into the structure of your being. Most people fear walking alone because they equate solitude with rejection. But the truth is, solitude is the highest form of alignment. It's what happens when your soul starts choosing truth over company. It's when you stop chasing those who don't understand you and start protecting your peace instead. Yes, it's cold. Yes, it's quiet. And yes, at times it feels like you're disappearing from the world. But sometimes disappearing is how you finally appear to yourself. On the cold path, you begin to shed illusions. You realize how much energy you used to spend trying to be understood. Trying to explain yourself to people who were never listening. Trying to belong to places that were never meant for your spirit. There's a strange liberation that comes when you stop explaining yourself. You start breathing differently. You move lighter. You realize that peace doesn't need witnesses. Seneca once wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man." And in the same way, he who fears solitude will never know himself deeply enough to live fully. Because solitude doesn't kill the spirit, it strengthens it. It takes you through discomfort, through boredom, through self-doubt, and transforms those things into clarity. You begin to see that what you once called loneliness was actually the birthplace of understanding. That silence is not emptiness, but space. Space to think, to feel, to realign. When you walk the cold path long enough, you stop craving noise. You stop needing validation. You stop rushing toward the next distraction. You learn to be okay in stillness. You learn to be content with the sound of your own heart. That's when strength begins to grow quietly beneath your calm. Not the loud kind of strength that flexes and shouts, but the quiet kind, the kind that endures, the kind that says, "I don't need to prove anything anymore." This is the power of walking alone. You become your own teacher, your own companion, your own guardian. You start to realize that everything external, approval, success, even love, is temporary. But inner balance, that's eternal. There's a moment, somewhere deep along the cold path, when the fear of being alone transforms into gratitude for the solitude. You begin to see solitude as a sanctuary, not a sentence. It's where your thoughts become clear, your values settle, and your emotions stop screaming for attention. You realize that solitude is where your soul stretches its legs. It's where your intuition, your discipline, and your self-awareness begin to mature. And the more time you spend there, the less the world can shake you. But let's be honest, it's not an easy journey. Walking alone means confronting your shadows. It means facing regrets you buried under distractions. It means forgiving yourself for things you never said aloud. It means watching your ego crumble, piece by piece, until humility takes its place. That's why most people avoid solitude. Because it demands honesty. And honesty is uncomfortable. But the Stoics believed that discomfort is sacred. It's not cruelty, it's correction. The pain of solitude isn't punishment, it's purification. It burns away the noise, the attachments, the false identities, until you stand bare before yourself. And that moment, that confrontation with your true self, that's freedom. When you learn to walk alone, you stop depending on others for your sense of direction. You no longer need to be led, because you've learned to lead yourself. You stop measuring your worth by the warmth of company, and start measuring it by the strength of your principles. You become still, unmoved, not cold-hearted, but clear-hearted. Because walking alone doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You stop expecting others to carry your peace. You stop expecting the world to understand your path. You stop mistaking attachment for love. You begin to love differently, quietly, freely, without demand. You begin to see that true love, for others, and for yourself, can only exist when you no longer fear being without it. And somewhere along this path, a beautiful thing happens. The cold no longer hurts. The silence no longer frightens you. You begin to feel warmth not from others, but from within. From the fire of self-understanding. From the calm that comes from knowing who you are, even when no one else is watching. You become peaceful in your own company. Not because you've stopped needing people, but because you've stopped losing yourself in them. This is the essence of the Stoic spirit, to remain centered no matter the circumstance. To stand as your own compass. To find warmth in your principles rather than in fleeting comfort. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And solitude, true solitude, is where that mastery begins. When you walk alone, you start to see your thoughts as they are. You start to question the narratives you've believed for years. You begin to see that half the things you feared were never real, just shadows cast by your own insecurity. You begin to clean your inner house. You sort through memories, beliefs, and wounds, keeping what's true, releasing what's not. And in doing so, you rediscover your own essence, the quiet, enduring presence that's been with you all along. That is what walking the cold path teaches you. You were never lost. You were just surrounded by noise. The irony of walking alone is that, in time, you become more connected, not less. You connect with life itself, not just people. You begin to see beauty in small things again. A sunrise feels deeper. A breath feels sacred. A moment of stillness feels full. Because solitude trains your senses to notice what busyness hides. It teaches you to value silence as much as words. It teaches you that peace is not a destination, it's a rhythm that begins inside you. Eventually, you come to understand that walking alone was never about leaving others behind. It was about returning to yourself. It was about realizing that you can walk beside others without losing your step. That you can love deeply without losing your center. And when you reach that point, when you can stand in solitude without bitterness, you become unshakable, not because life stops testing you, but because your sense of self no longer depends on what's outside you. You become a quiet force, a presence that radiates peace, not because life is easy, but because you finally stopped expecting it to be. The cold path ends where it began, within. The world around you hasn't changed, but you have. Your mind is calmer, your heart is lighter, your steps are slower, steadier, more deliberate. You realize that walking alone was never about isolation, it was about integration. You found your center. You learned that peace isn't found in crowds, or noise, or validation, it's found in the quiet acceptance of what is. The Stoics taught that a person who can walk alone is the one who can walk with anyone, because they no longer need anyone to complete them. And that is the paradox of the cold path. You find warmth by walking through the cold. You find connection by mastering solitude. You find yourself by letting go of who you were told to be. So if you ever find yourself walking that path, if the world grows distant, and the silence feels heavy, remember this: you are not lost, you are becoming. Each step is carving you into clarity. Each pause is teaching you patience. Each cold breath is shaping the stillness you will one day call peace. Walk slowly, walk honestly, and trust that where you are, alone, quiet, unseen, is exactly where strength is born. Because the truth is, the cold path was never meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. Final reflection: when you can walk alone without bitterness, you've already reached the summit.